Good morning, friends. I am trying to start this day with a busy week ahead, just keeping in mind that this is a marathon and not a sprint. The last few weeks have felt pretty rushed and honestly a little bit overwhelming, and I've noticed how that kind of creeps into my heart and the way that I move around my home. We've been talking about tone as a homemaker the last several weeks and going through different fruits of the Spirit and kind of how that looks as a homemaker and why those things are so vital in our daily walks. And today we are just going to be talking about gentleness, which is very applicable for me in this current season of life. My husband and I had a very meaningful and fruitful heart-to-heart conversation this past week about all of the commitments that we've kind of taken on and where that leaves us with quality time as a family, with just our own sanity, really. And so I'm going to be incorporating in this video some intentional ways that we kind of talked about just safeguarding our home and protecting the ministry that we have been called to here first and foremost, within our marriage, within our relationships with our kids, all of these different things that just get so crowded out whenever we overwhelm our schedule. And it's very easy to do any time of the year, but especially as we are starting holidays and moving into the holiday season, it's going to be a lot. We have several family members getting married in the coming weeks. Very excited about that. Our girls are going to get to be flower girls in about a month. We have some camping trips planned, and then the ins and outs of school, and there's just, everybody knows there's a lot going on right now. With that being said, we are starting to feel kind of the crud of the change of seasons. Our whole family has just been feeling a little bit puny recently. I tend to believe that it's also because we have been so busy. I think when we run ourselves ragged, our immune systems end up showing that. So while there are some things that I really want to get done today in and around my house, I also am just trying to be intentional about the pace in which I set for myself and for my family. I want to start this day by making some elderberry syrup. I try to do this every single year. I usually try to do it a little bit earlier than this to prepare for when this happens, but I just haven't done it yet, so I'll be working on it throughout the day. It's not a hard process. I've shared it here before. It just takes some time. I'm going to be starting with that this morning. I also want to change out the girls' closets from summer clothes to fall clothes and go through the bins. I don't even know what they have in there. I just need to go through them and get rid of some stuff, probably donate quite a bit. I would love to, if I have time, get to cleaning up my porch and maybe putting some of my fall decor out there. My closet will come in time. I don't think we will get to that today because I think it's going to be quite a chore, but in the coming weeks I hope to address my clothing situation. So I'm very glad that you're here. I hope that you will just settle in, cozy up, and if you want to work alongside me, that's fine. If not, I'm just glad that you're here. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart, I am just so grateful that you choose to spend any part of your day here with me. It just means a lot. So let's get started. So first off, maybe we should talk about what gentleness actually is, because for the longest, I always wished that I would be called a gentle spirit. Like, oh, she's such a sweet and gentle spirit. And that's just not who I am. I've always been a little bit more passionate, a little bit more opinionated and direct in my approach. I try to make it I have to really use discernment in that, of course. But at the end of the day, I realize that gentleness is not only for the women who are soft-spoken. So when scripture talks about gentleness, it's not describing weakness of any kind. Gentleness is strength under control. It's the ability to choose these soft words and patient responses in a calm spirit, even when the world around us feels very rushed, hurried, and heavy. Galatians 5 tells us that gentleness is a fruit of the Spirit, like we've been talking about, and it's something that grows in us as we walk with the Lord. And then in Proverbs 15:1, we are reminded, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So together, these verses kind of show us that gentleness is not optional. It is such a vital part of how we reflect Christ, both inside our home and outside of it. Okay, so that is not gentle. I knew that we had a lot coming up in October, so I just went ahead and did the calendar for it, and now I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed again, so it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. We're actively working to try and remove some things from our calendar, so some of that might fall off I am certain that things will be added, but for now, we're just gonna do the next thing and we'll be all right. So let's go sort through some kid clothes. However, I do believe that I'm going to need to pick up the rooms in order to get to the bins, which are under the bed. So I'm gonna do a little reset of their rooms first. Within the walls of our home, gentleness really does set the tone. It shapes how our children feel when they walk through the door after school. It colors the atmosphere between my husband and me. A gentle spirit can turn an ordinary day into one that feels really safe and warm and just rooted in love versus super frazzled and rushed. But gentleness does not just happen by accident. It's cultivated in the pauses that we create, in the words that we choose, and in the way we invite God's Spirit to lead even the smallest rhythms of our day. Just the other night, my husband and I actually had one of those really honest conversations, the kind where you realize that something just needs to change. Between our commitments and the busy pull of schedules, we've been feeling spread so thin. Add that to his swing shift. He works from 12 in the afternoon until 12 midnight, and our window of family time together is just already so limited. So we admitted that all of this has been distracting us from what really matters most, which is being gentle with one another and with our kids. For me, gentleness honestly often gets pushed aside when I buy into certain lies. So one of the biggest is that because I stay home and don't contribute to the income, I feel like I have to make every minute productive. So laundry, cleaning, cooking, content creating, volunteering in our community, whatever it may be, it's like there's no room for any kind of pause. And that pressure doesn't just weigh on me, it spills over into my tone, my patience. It makes me more agitated to the way that I respond to people who I love absolutely most in this whole world. But the truth is that homemaking is more than a checklist. It's the spirit that we carry into our homes. And when hurry and pressure are dictating our pace, there is very little room left for gentleness. That night we talked about what we could let go of and what we could say no to in order to say yes to creating some margin. Because without margin, gentleness does not stand a chance. So as we kind of brainstormed on how we could create more margin and space in order to increase gentleness in our home, we came up with a few practical steps. So first, we decided that we really just need to remove some things from our plate that are very, very good, but just not what's best for us right now. Serving in areas simply because the spot was open and there was a need, not because we were actually called to that in this season, has only stretched us thinner. And while I don't ever want to absolutely neglect something if it's a really strong need, there are just areas that we've been serving in where we thought there was a really strong need, but once we got there, it was kind of like, okay, so what are we doing? Like, what's the purpose that you need us here for? You know, things like that, where it's like, it doesn't really seem like we're that needed. We just continue to show up each week because we said that we would. So letting go of those good things opens room for what truly matters and where we really need to be investing our time and energy. Second, we are implementing what we call after hours, and I will share a little bit about this later on in the video. But once the kids are home from school, after about 5 o'clock at night, we plan to put our phones into a drawer, and we have purchased a little, it's actually like a standard landline phone, but we're not using a landline service. I'll explain all of this later, and it pairs via Bluetooth to our phones. So it's a very simple boundary, but I hope that it will protect our evenings and let us be fully present with one another. It's just so easy when I get a phone call or a text, or he gets one, to look at our phone and then to find so many other things on our phones to look at. So I really hope that this will eliminate that. And then the people who really need to get in touch with us will know, like, hey, I need to call them because they don't have their phones at night. Like I said, I'm really just extremely hopeful and excited about that intentional process that we're implementing. Third, we really want to be more intentional with the moments that we do have together, like I said. So whether it's a puzzle, a board game, finding a show for my husband and I to watch after the girls go to bed, or simply sitting with a cup of tea and talking, we are choosing connection over distraction. Even on the day that I was filming all of this video and I was going through the girls' closets, I was like trying so hard to get the closet thing situated before I had to go pick up both of my girls from school, which, mind you, I only have about 2.5 hours before I go get the youngest from her half-day preschool. And my husband wakes up at about 11 in the morning. So I was like knee deep in kid clothes. And he woke up and was like, you want to just sit with me while I drink coffee? And I was like, no, I've got to get this done before the girls get home. And then I went back into their rooms and started working a little more. And I thought, no, I really don't. It'll be okay. I just need to go and pause and go and sit with him before he goes to work. All right, so in terms of increasing gentleness, being more intentional around our home, especially with our quality time as a family. Nicholas and I decided to kind of get a landline. So we're not going to be paying like outrageous fees each month for a true landline, but what I did find that we could do is, it's not here today, but tomorrow I should have something called a cell to jack, where you plug it into the back and then it Bluetooth pairs to your phones. So we are really hoping to establish after hours in our household. Nicholas is already working at least half of the nights every single week, sometimes more. So especially the nights where he's home and we do have that opportunity to just be together, we don't want any distractions. And it's really sad that we have to do this because our discipline has gotten so bad, but he is involved with so many things in our church. Also, I do content creation, so it's very hard for me to draw the line between like personal life and business, and I have done a poor job of allowing my mind to be completely focused on my family and my home, especially in the evenings. So I'm really excited about this, especially when you see what it looks like. So I'm just gonna do a little unboxing. By the way, none of this is like sponsored or gifted. This was all purchased with our own monies, and it's just something that we really thought would add quality to our lifestyle, especially in this busy season. So it comes with a phone jack, but I don't think I'll need that. I'm really trying to be careful. Isn't it so pretty? Love this. Love this so much. So in one of these is where the adapter will go. I'm not quite sure exactly where yet, but you can change the settings high and low. And it is plastic, but the rotary style is push button, so you don't actually have to turn it. But I am so excited about this. I think it'll match my kitchen really well. I'll have this linked down in the description. It'll be in my Amazon storefront too at some point, most likely. But for now, I just want to go ahead and style it. I'm thinking right back here where my cake stand usually sits and the girls' tablets, I'm gonna clean that up a bit and make it pretty with this sweet phone. So happy day. Obviously, this is about so much more than practical steps in order to guide gentleness into our home. It is such a spiritual thing, creating margin and then being intentional. It's not only practical, it can't be. This is a way of living out the Spirit in our home and welcoming the Spirit into our home. Gentleness just flows more freely when our hearts and our schedules are not crowded. And I feel like by trusting God with our priorities and letting Him guide our yeses and our nos, we really do allow His Spirit to shape the tone of our home and our marriage and our parenting and even just our kids' attitudes, just so many things. Our own attitudes, obviously. I've heard it said before that you can always tell where a person's heart and priorities are based on their calendar and their bank account. And I really do believe that is true, because it really reveals, are we storing up treasures here on earth, or are we storing up treasures in heaven? And I'm just so grateful that we serve a God who is so patient, who's so kind, who knew us long before we knew ourselves, and He still chose to send His Son to die for us on the cross in spite of and despite all of our shortcomings. Sanctification is continual and will never be complete until we get to heaven and are covered in all of His glory. But in the meantime, I'm just so thankful that we have His guidance, the work of the Holy Spirit in our hearts and in our lives, in our homes, taking us by the hand and walking us closer and closer to Jesus each and every day. Living with gentleness is absolutely countercultural. The world will tell us to hurry, to strive, to prove ourselves, but the Spirit calls us to slow down, to soften our words, and to create homes marked by peace. And honestly, that's the kind of countercultural life that I want for my family. One more. Hang on. Okay, so I'm going to finish it here because the girls wanted to go to the library today, And we have had our library books for probably far too long. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'll decorate my porch some other time, but I feel like we got a lot accomplished today without having to just rush and run ourselves crazy. So glad that you came along. I hope that you have enjoyed this, maybe found some encouragement, maybe heard some gentle reminders and found a little motivation to slow down, to have a little bit more peace throughout our days, and to proceed through life with some gentleness. Because right now, gentleness is the last thing that our world is full of, and it could always use a little bit more. If you notice, there's a flower girl dress hanging there. We're trying to figure things out. I just noticed that was in the frame. But anyways, I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, guys. What are you doing?
I'm snapping it.
Oh my goodness.